The desert night was unnervingly still, the kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes every heartbeat sound like a drum. The camera fades in on a wide shot of the horizon. Stars littered the sky like cold diamonds, while the dark outlines of ruined buildings whispered of battles past. The voiceover begins low and heavy, meant to pull the audience in immediately. They said she was just a woman with a rifle. They said she couldn't possibly lead. But 5 minutes later, 12 enemies lay silent, and those who doubted her never dared again. Her name was Commander Elena Hayes, the first female sniper to ever command a SEAL task unit. She wasn't tall, nor was she loud, but her presence carried weight in ways no one could explain. Some of her own men doubted her in silence, masking skepticism behind tight nods and half-hearted salutes. They had trained alongside her, but in their minds, the battlefield was a place for brute force and sheer intimidation, not for quiet precision and calm strategy. She knew what they thought. Every glance, every whisper carried doubt. But Elena wasn't in this for approval. She was in this because she had learned long ago that underestimation was her greatest weapon. That night, intelligence reported a cell of heavily armed insurgents entrenched in the ruins of an abandoned compound, waiting for U.S. forces to pass. The mission was simple in description but nearly impossible in execution: eliminate them before they launched an ambush on nearby convoys. The risk was staggering. Every second counted. Every shot mattered. The team gathered around in a dimly lit safehouse, blueprints spread out over a cracked wooden table. As the men debated tactics, Elena's voice cut through the room, not loud, not angry, but firm, like steel wrapped in silk. We don't need to go in guns blazing. We go in clean, we go in quiet. I'll take the first shots. When I clear the field, you move in. Some of the men exchanged looks. A commander who wanted the first shots herself. Doubts rose again, but Elena didn't flinch. She walked out into the night, rifle slung across her chest, her boots silent against the sand. She found her perch on a half-collapsed minaret, broken stone offering the perfect view of the compound. As she settled into position, the weight of her rifle in her hands felt like home. The scope glinted faintly under the starlight, and when she peered through it, the world narrowed into clarity. 12 enemies, some on the roof, some hidden in windows, others patrolling with rifles slung casually, unaware that death was already watching. Her breathing slowed. The chaos of war disappeared. All she could hear was her heartbeat sinking with the trigger. The first shot cracked through the silence, a soft echo swallowed by the desert. A rooftop guard crumpled, his rifle clattering down the stones. The second fell before his partner realized the first had dropped. The patrolman spun, shouting in the dark, but Elena was faster. 3 and 4 dropped before their bodies even hit the ground. Through her scope, she saw one insurgent lift a radio, panic written across his face. She aimed just below his ear and pulled. 5. Another scrambled to set up a heavy machine gun, his silhouette clear in the window. She squeezed. 6. Her men, watching from the shadows, couldn't believe it. They expected 1 or 2, maybe 3 at most. But she was like a storm moving through the night, invisible yet unstoppable. Her calm never broke, her rhythm never faltered. She counted each kill under her breath, like a prayer. 7, 8, 9. The compound fell into confusion, their enemies firing blindly into the night. Muzzle flashes lit up their panic. But Elena had already mapped their positions, every shadow committed to memory. A man bolted out of a side door, thinking he could escape. 10. Another tried to flank her perch, but he never made it past the alley. 11. The last one, the 12th, tried to crawl away, dragging himself into the darkness. Elena's finger rested steady on the trigger, but for the first time, her breath caught. Through the scope, she saw his trembling hands, the fear in his eyes. She thought of her own younger brother, gone too soon, swallowed by a war he never asked for. The memory flickered, threatening to break her steel composure. But this was no child. This was the man who had planned the ambush, the one who would kill without hesitation. She exhaled, slow and steady, and the shot rang out. 12. Silence returned to the desert. Her watch said 5 minutes. That was all it took. 5 minutes to prove every doubter wrong. 5 minutes to remind the world that leadership wasn't about muscle or bravado. It was about clarity, courage, and the will to act when others froze. The team moved in, stunned into silence. One of the younger SEALs, who had muttered days ago that a woman doesn't belong in command, now looked at her with wide eyes, almost reverence. Another, hardened by years of combat, gave a slow nod, the kind of nod that only warriors give when they recognize something greater than themselves. No one questioned her again after that night. But Elena didn't smile. She didn't bask in their respect or in the victory. She quietly dismantled her rifle, stowed it away, and walked past her men without a word. The desert wind tugged at her hair as she moved, her expression calm but her eyes heavy. She carried the weight of every life taken, every shot fired. Not because she doubted herself, but because she never wanted to forget the cost of war. And yet, she had saved them all. The convoy rolled safely at dawn. 12 enemies who would have unleashed death upon unsuspecting soldiers were gone, and it was because she had the courage to shoulder the burden. The camera fades back from the desert into black, the voiceover returning with one final, emotional note. She wasn't just a sniper. She wasn't just a commander. She was the storm they never saw coming. And in 5 minutes, she proved that strength has no gender, no limits, and no boundaries. If you were moved by her story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to be reminded that silence doesn't mean weakness, and that true power is often underestimated until the moment it can't be denied.